Here are the 3 biggest reasons you're not getting rich from real estate. I'm Ross, been buying houses for 15 years. I own 150 of them. Here we go. Reason number 1 is you're getting crappy deals and you don't know how to get good ones, or you're a little bit scared to get good ones. So there's basically 3 ways that people go and get. Number 1 is through realtors. That's what almost every newbie does, is they go get a real estate agent who probably doesn't know what the hell they're doing, okay? Because a real estate agent doesn't mean a real estate investor. They're just marketers. They know how to sell houses. My wife owns a brokerage. She always gets mad when I talk crap on realtors. But I'm just saying, there's the right realtor for real estate agents, or for real estate investors. I'm not saying you shouldn't use one. I'm just saying most of them do not know about houses for real. But anyway, bigger problem with realtors is supply and demand. And this is going to be a reoccurring theme. You got to think about this. Okay. The demand for a house on the market is huge, right? Because it's really easy to find these houses. It's the market. It's on Zillow. It's online. Everybody has access to it. I don't have to get off my couch to go do it. So the demand is super high versus the supply, which that ultimately, economics 101, drives the price as high as possible. You put your house out on the market because you're trying to get the best price possible. There's the most people coming there. So it's really hard to get a great deal there. You can be really fast. You can wait for properties that everybody else has passed by because it's got serious problems. And from time to time, you'll find deals. There are strategies. We're not going to get into those today. So number 2 is you move to potentially going through wholesalers. Wholesalers are basically bird dogs who find off-market deals. They will send mail. They'll cold call. They'll text. A lot of different strategies. Maybe they run Facebook ads, Google ads, and they go find people who want to sell their house. And let's just say they go to Bob and they say, hey, Bob, I'll give you $50,000 for this house. Bob agrees to sell the house to wholesaler for $50,000. And then the wholesaler comes to you and he says, hey, Ross, heard you've been wanting to buy a house. I'll sell you this one for $60,000. They basically sell you the contract, their place in the contract. That's what wholesaling is. And used to be that you could get some great deals there. Now, because of bigger pockets, everybody knows that you should go buy houses through wholesalers because that's where you get great deals. Because of that, the demand has gotten a lot higher. Therefore, instead of the $50,000 guy sells you the house for $60,000, now it's more like, I got this contract for $50,000, sell it to you for $110,000. Seriously, I have actually paid 6 figures on a wholesale, right? Because that's what happens at closing. You pay the difference. That's the wholesale. They might call it a finder's fee. They might call it a marketing fee, whatever. You're paying the difference. And that gap has gotten huge. Wholesalers are great at getting deals. Demand is huge. Therefore, they can demand a price that is pretty much the same as the MLS. The big which is through the realtor. The big advantage to the wholesaler is they are going to find deals that most of the time you won't find on the MLS. You're not going to find like boarded up houses or condemned houses most of the time on the MLS. Anyway, those 2 ways kind of suck now unless you have an in with the wholesaler. Now, I've talked about this before that basically there's like an inner circle. All right, first a wholesaler gets a deal and they're like, oh, that's a great deal. That's a $50,000 house that I could sell for $110,000. Great, I'm going to take that down myself. Maybe I'll hold it as a rent. All right, so that's to them. All right, and then there is that's the inner circle, or excuse me, that's not okay. And then the inner circle, all right? The inner circle is like, they have these guys that are certainly going to buy from them. They're investors, they're friends of them. They bought from them before. So they'll send it out to their inner circle because they can just shoot a text out or whatever. Now they have their broad list, okay? Every wholesaler goes and builds their buyers list and they send that out usually in an email blast like, hey, we just got this house at 123 Main Street for $50,000. You want to buy it? And well, if that doesn't work, then they go even further. Usually here they're on media, they're with other wholesalers, Facebook Marketplace, you'll find houses like this. A lot of you guys get your deals through wholesalers on social media or on this broad list. The point is, by the time it gets there, it's because it sucked and nobody else wanted to buy it. All right. So they're trying to create more demand for this property to get the price up. Point is, either one, the house sucks and nobody wants to buy it, or two, they're trying to push the price up the same as the MLS. Both bad deals. Okay, so then there has to be a third way, right? That you become the wholesale. You go, and it's pretty simple. You just send mail. That's all you got to do. Is you have to what I call setting up a home base. You set up a simple landing page, which you can do online pretty easily these days. You set up a landing page that says, hey, I'm Ross. I'm a local guy right here in the same city as I'm trying to buy houses in. And you should always buy in the same city that you're trying to buy houses in. I don't care what they say. And then you put your phone number on there, which is a local phone number. Maybe you put a picture of yourself that, hey, look at this local guy that's trustworthy looking. And you got your phone number. I would get a different phone number than the phone number I use for my personal. And then I go to any of the mail houses and I send mail to a list that I can also get online. And the list is usually something like, first, I have my buy box. Okay, let's get back to here. I have my buy box. This is like what neighborhoods that I want to buy in. I have a whole video on like the 9 things that make up your buy box, but what neighborhood I want to buy in, and then like the size of the house, the condition of the house, which a lot of that stuff is all going to be determined by the neighbor. I like this specific neighborhood because the houses are around 1,500 square feet. You know, they're not too old, but they're not too new. They're it's the right class of property. It's the right price point. You know, usually the finished value of the should not be too far above the median price of the city. So here, the median price of the city is like $320,000. I'm going to buy in neighborhoods where if I fix up that house, it's going to be around $320,000. I don't want to go buy in the neighborhoods that you fix it up and it's $500,000 because that doesn't fit my investment. Probably shouldn't fit yours either. But anyway, I have my buy box, and then inside of my buy, I have an audience filter. The filter for the audience is things like I don't want to send to people who own 20 houses unless I'm out trying to buy a portfolio. So usually I only send to people who own 3 or less houses. The audience filter would be, so 2 different audiences. One is people who actually live in the house, and then 2 is people who have a mailing address that is not the same as the house, therefore they're a landlord. So if it's a landlord, I look at things like there's a vacant mailing address, for instance. That means that nobody's receiving mail there. Might be a vacant house. They probably don't like that. But anyway, not going to get into all the filters. So the buy box, then we have audience, and then inside of the audience, but you have like tax delinquent. You have the owner has a lien against them. Maybe they're in pre-foreclosure. Those are different. Painless, and those are the people that I mail to every single month. I just keep hitting them with mail. Eventually, you get calls to that phone number that you set up, or maybe they go look at the landing page that you set up, and then they reach out to you because of that. Great, easy, right? All I do, and I know it seems like a big thing that you got to set all this stuff up and you got to figure it out. But once you have it figured out, once you just keep sending mail to them, and it's awesome. Then you get calls for people who want to buy your houses. And then you're the one that gets to buy that house for $50,000 instead of buying the same house for whatever, $80,000, $90,000 because a wholesaler ripped it up in price, or buying that same house on the MLS for $110,000, right? If you get that big buffer, maybe I'm being a little bit wild about the buffer, but it is a big buffer. The deals that you get online, like when you're hearing people talk about 70%, like, oh, I'm never going to find a 70%, which is, take the ARV, let's say it's 300,000, 70% of the ARV is $210,000. Then you subtract the construction. Let's say it was going to be $60,000. 210 minus $60,000 is $150,000. I should buy that house for $150,000. And everybody's like, you never get deals like that. No, you don't get deals like that. Wholesalers do, and then they sell it to you for $200,000. That's why you never get deals like that, is because you didn't do the work to go figure out how to make a list and send mail to them. You didn't make the home base. It's seriously that simple. All right. So that was number 1, is you are not getting complaining that there's no deals out there. Nothing ever comes on the MLS. Damn right it doesn't. Never gonna come on the MLS. I've never bought a good deal raw on the MLS. Like I said, there are strategies to get deals on the MLS, but it certainly is not just putting in an offer on something at list price. Number 2 are suffering. You're too fancy. I don't know what else to say. Everybody is going to think, what do I say about guys? Some people care too much about what other people think. Do you think that people I know, if I actually told them what I did, but they would be like, oh, this guy buys like crappy houses and makes them less crappy, because that is, actually, usually I don't even tell them that I buy houses. I say I'm in construction. I do jobs for investors who want crappy houses less crappy. So happens that I investor night. The point is that a lot of people get carried away with wanting to have like a nice portfolio. They start thinking about like, well, you don't buy houses that are in the median. You're trying to buy houses that are the upper class, the A class types of properties. So no, you're certainly not going to do the things that you would want in your own house, because that's going to make you never make money off these houses. Now, I used to do these pop tops back in Colorado. We would take the roof off, build a second story, redo everything. They were like beautiful. Literally got put in the 5280 magazine. That's the Denver magazine. Look it up. Built pretty crap that I was proud of. Problem is, never made any money. In fact, lost quite a bit of it. Then I came up with a new strategy almost a decade ago now. And that's the one that I teach here. Now, the point is this. Let me show you. It's going to make a lot of sense to you if you could just see it. This is what I call scale of livability. All right. Over here is you have raw land. Over here, you have, these are really nice. Right here in the middle, you have what I call the livability threshold. Okay. If a house is to this side of the livability threshold, is not livable. And if it's to the other side, it is livable. That's why I named it that. It's a threshold. Okay, so if I get a house over here, I call these barely bankable. Probably seen all this before. Okay, and then houses over here are like bombed out because it's not livable, but sometimes slumlords will try to put people in there. All right, but anyway, then all the way over here, okay, we have the range of comp. I don't even know why I'm writing this. You're going to have trouble reading it. I know. But over here, we have the range of comps is what your realtor or you are doing when you're pulling comps. You're taking all the other houses that have sold in that neighborhood and you're saying, oh, okay, these sell for like $350,000. So that means that if I make my house in a similar condition to this house, it will sell for like 350 grand. Great. Now I can do all my math based upon that. That is not what happens on HGTV though. What happens on HGTV is they're like, hey, we have a TV show here and it's not going to be really cool if we just make a crappy house less crappy and then sell it for the maximum amount of profit. What's going to be really cool is if we have like design offs and like the guy and the girl pick a different bathroom and they're like, let's see who can design it better, and spend all kinds of money that's not necessary, because those bathrooms in this particular TV show that I watched, this episode, they were in like the upstairs back of the house. And it's like by the time somebody's gotten there, they already made the choice whether they're going to buy the house or not. It's not going to matter that there was a golden chandelier in the master shower. Okay. They already decided whether they're buying. And that's kind of like my big 3 strategy, which you can find all over the place. Point is that the way that these guys make money is not from the houses. It's because you watch their dang TV show. Okay. And so their strategy is not to take a house from, let's say, slumlord status to just to the bottom of the range of comps, which that's what our strategy is. Or we take it from barely bankable, which is like your grandma's house. You know, it's like out of date. And we just like spruce it up a little bit, bring it right there, spending the least amount of money. Not cutting corners, because cutting corners is doing shady crap. I'm talking about just spending the least amount of money. So that way, every dollar I have the best return on that dollar. No, what those guys do is they take houses and they crank it, right? They try to push it all the way past the range of comps into new no man's land. And by the way, that's gentrification. Okay, that's how you take a neighborhood and make the prices continue to go up. I don't do any of that. I take what's already been sold because I like math. I like statistics. I like to know that if I do these things, it's going to be worth this much. Okay. The thing where you hear people saying, oh, you know, I think if I do this, that, and the other thing, I can probably push the price up to blah, blah, blah. Those are speculators. Speculators get screwed. See, they get fooled into thinking that they're good investors because for years the market has been, beep, 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 beep. That's what the market's been doing. But now, okay, so what used to happen is they could buy a property right here, do the renovation, right? So I guess it wouldn't be right here. It'd really be much of a renovation. But they would do that, okay? And then by the time they went to sell it, time passed. Okay, all of a sudden, they were in the money. The price had risen. The value had risen. Okay, but now they do the same thing. Right? 6 months pass and they're like, oh crap, there's no profits to be taken. And in fact, there's some losses. So not so cool anymore. But what a smart investor does is, of course, they first figure out their iPad and then they are going to get a deal to start. They get it down. They do a smart renovation. Every one of these dollars actually makes the house worth, right? So they don't spend $1 to $1. They spend like $2 to $1. For every dollar they spend, they get $2 back in value. All right. So they get this spread and also they only have this much money in. So even though by the time they get to 6 months, maybe the market hasn't risen, they still, okay. And when the market's good, they're in the lot of HGTV dilemma. All right. It's not about, definitely have a deal here, not about how cool your portfolio is. It's about how much money. It's a business, right? Okay. And even more importantly, probably is the safety that it gives you. I will say this real quick. Basically, this is why I don't do new builds, or at least not a lot of them. Okay. Is that here is raw land, right? Here is the livability threshold. The distance that I am away from the livability threshold correlated directly to the amount of risk that I'm taking on. Because when I get past the livability threshold, now I can monetize that property. I can either rent it out or I can sell it. Because if I try to sell a property before it hits the livability threshold, I take a deep haircut on the price that I could sell it for. And I don't want to do that. So I got to get it past the livability threshold. Once I do that, I'm in the money. Therefore, the distance I am to the left of the livability threshold is the risk that I'm currently taking. Number 3 is that you're disorganized. Okay. This one is silly, I know, but I just see it so often that I'll make it really easy here. You should read a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen, because it really breaks down how, your brain is not meant to operate by remembering all these things. Hang on. The way to say this would be that the best entrepreneurs out there, small business, not big time, the best small business owners, they're good because they're constantly thinking about it. Their brain can remember lots of things. Okay. And what they do is they lay there in bed scanning all the things that they need to do, and they're remembering. That's not what your brain should be doing. Why would you put that on your brain's RAM when you could easily offload that? And then, this is the way I think about it, use the small amount of brain power that I have to actually compute things that matter, like solving problems, like looking at the big picture. Okay, but to do that, I need to free up some of that RAM. And I do that by having a personal productivity system. I know you guys are probably clicking off already, but let me just show you really quick this, because this changed my life. When I read that book, maybe 10 years ago or so, changed my life. I'm able to do so much more. And also it's why I can use AI and VAs effectively, is because there's a foundation set and architecture for how I handle things that allows me to then plug other people in there and expand even further. All right. Now, those things also would allow you to scale the hell up if that's what you wanted to do. It's not what I choose to do. What I choose to do is make my life as easy as I possibly can so I can spend more time with my family. Maybe you should consider that as well. Not that I don't work a whole bunch. Okay, so you have a couple steps that you need to, and that's a good start. First is you need a brain dump. Okay, pretty simple. Everything that comes to my mind, I put it in my Todoist. That's the app that I use. Anything. Reference material. I want to read this article. Oh, I just thought about this thing. I got to talk to blah, blah, blah about blah-de-da. Oh, I got to write a check for this thing. This piece of mail came or whatever. I have every one of those things I put into my system. If you don't, you can't trust your system. You got to be able to trust your system. Otherwise, your brain will never stop scanning. Okay. Brain dump process, easy enough. You got to have a time or multiple times per day that you go through all of the stuff. Okay. It's not like scanning it all the time. You're not scanning your email all day and answering as soon as they come through. You have specific time slots where you do those things. You process the information. All right. And then it goes into a few different spots. One, the to do by you. Okay. Personal. Second, somebody else follow up on it. So if I go ask Johnny to do something, okay, it doesn't go out of my system until I've followed up and made sure that that thing complete, because it came from me. It's still my to do. I'm just delegating it to somebody else. So I need to make sure I follow up on the article that I'd like to read later. It's static though. It doesn't need to be done necessarily. It needs to be remembered. That's a reference. That's the personal productivity. That's foundation for everything I do. So let's recap that. Don't be disorganized. Don't be, that is the foundation of your whole system. Number 2 is don't over-renovate. That's your ego taking advantage of you, thinking that you need to make everything look fancy, otherwise people will make fun of you. And 3 is that you need to get better deals. Supply and demand, baby. That's it. All right. If everybody knows about it, it is not going to be a good deal. If it's easy to get to, it's not going to be you want to become a market of one. And to do that, it takes hard work. Okay. And I don't care what it is. AI is not going to solve all the world's problems here. Even to use AI correctly, you have to do the hard work of setting up your foundation, setting up the architecture. Okay. To go out and get deals, you have to do the hard work of making your lists. You got to figure out how to go send this stuff. To be successful in real estate, just like any business, is going to take work, but I can help you with the guidance. That's why I have a free, for now, school community. It's linked below. I hope I see you guys there. And also, you need to check out this video right here if you want. Thank you.